What is going on, YouTube world? Steve, Dave, Insert Revolution podcast. I believe we're on episode number 40 or 41?
40. The big
40.
4-0.
So,
Crazy.
we'll have a decent show, I think, tonight. I mean, I didn't even get the link out to anyone. I don't know if we'll go our usual 3.5 because I was just talking to Steve beforehand and I am absolutely wiped the hell out. I mean, it has been just nonstop, do this, do that, do this, even on what's supposed to be slower days at work and just in life in general. It's been not slow at all. So when you struggle, you want to do something as simple as taking a shower, but it takes about a half hour, 45 minutes to muster up the energy to go do that because you're just beating the ground. It's like, well, we'll go as long as we can. I don't want to overextend our just keep on keeping on for the point of keeping on. That does no good for anyone. So, but I think it's an interesting topic. Again, we are the negative team over here. A lot of people in the card collecting world sort of want to gloss over the negativity, and they keep on with the positive. Yeah, you can be positive, but at the same time, there's a lot of negative. Word isn't just like, oh, retail not at Target anymore. Prices on certain things. It's times when you miss something, and yesterday was a perfect day for that because I mean it was just I was near ready to take a bat to my phone. I texted Vinny and I texted him about 40 minutes before an auction. I texted him about 40 minutes after the auction because I got caught up at school talking with some of Naomi's friends' parents, and by the time I finally realized what time it was about 3:45, and the auction went off at 3:15. So I was like, come on, please, be at like $100, and I can be like, okay, whatever. I missed it, but it was at the same price I texted Vinny about 40 minutes before, so I was super happy. Super, especially because it vaguely listed and had the one card I've been trying to knock all of them out, and that would have been it. And it was a year that I've been basically looking for it because I know they're tougher, and it was just. I'm not one of those people that like to sit there and be like, oh, move forward and be happy with what you got. When you have something, and I know we're sort of glossing over the sponsor. We'll circle back. Don't worry, folks. We'll get to it. I'm on my soapbox, at least 1 foot on, so I want to get this out of the way while I'm rolling downhill. We can be, oh, look at the stuff in your collection, blah blah blah. When you have something in the crosshairs, and this is what this episode will be about. I sort of notated it in the descriptor of because again, cards that haunt you, you can take that a myriad of ways. But when you have something in the crosshairs, something happens, albeit eBay goof up, a Gixxon.com, if you've got the sniping tool, that goofs up for some reason. You just lose track of time. Or you just forget to bid altogether. You know you've got it, and you just something takes you away from the bidding. Emergency, something else goes on. For me, that switch in me is flipped, and it's like the Incredible Hulk. I want to punch walls and kick windows and basically a temper tantrum, but it's not to just destroy stuff. It's to take out the aggression of you stupid, not to quote Ren and Stimpy, idiot, because something goes for what you're willing to pay or a ton less, and you blunder it up. So I don't know. That's sort of the premise, at least the first hour-ish or so, or if we go longer with it, that's fine. But that's what I meant when I said haunt, when you're willing to pay exponentially more than an auction goes for, and you basically crap the bed. So, and their sponsor, Tap into the Rockies, Coors Light, and I've got
Just for you, Ty. Just for you.
grape Kool-Aid in the Christmas glass.
Okay, Christmas in May. Well, that's not a bad thing. Paul got to experience Christmas in May earlier for his long deployment for work. We were talking via DM on Instagram. I want to say yesterday. So he got to enjoy Christmas in May. I guess to a certain degree, I did too. With the care package I got and the one pickup, which everybody's seen on Instagram, that will be spoiled at some time on YouTube in June. But it's one of those in which Instagram usually gets it first, and most of you watch my YouTube stuff too, so it won't be a surprise. I do try and keep some surprises, but I too had the lovely experiences Dave alluded to last night. It was kind of like, okay, great topic for conversation. Let it happen to both hosts the night before. Really way to get the blood flowing, pumping, and add to the being pissed off. I don't remember the exact words of my text message to to Dave and Vinny, but it was along the lines of FML. I effing hate the hobby right now, which is overly generalized, but mine was eBay was lagging. My Wi-Fi was lagging. I can't claim specifically to know what transpired, but a card that I hadn't seen in a long time. This is the same seller, Dave, that I've been talking to you and Vinny about, trying to, get a couple cards before he relists. And I think the guy's a little crazy, but had my bid in for a little over double what the current bid was at, and confirmed bid, and it just did one of these, and the auction never moved. So it's one of those in which, with a 90% certainty, it probably would have been one that I would have notched off the list. It would have been this one's counterpart would have been the O number to 25, which really sucks because I haven't seen one and I can't remember when. So there have always been others. Yes, the timed out circle of death. That is 100% correct. Usually I don't run into situations like that. A lot of the time I'm just a moron, and eBay jacks up and doesn't send the notification, with 15 minutes left or whatever. Or I'm sitting hanging out at the neighbors having a few drinks and, just completely crap the bed, so to speak. And you look at stuff and you're going, why am I looking at this? Why am I even looking? Because it's like, knowing what I would have put on that, and that chances are with high percentage, I probably would have won it. And it kind of adds the fuel to the fire and being a little bit more pissed off in those situations. None of that has transpired with something super rare, like super, super rare that I just, wanted to have type situation.
Yeah.
But the one last night hurts. And I have a feeling it's going to haunt me for a long time, because it's one, like I said, I haven't seen in a long time. I can digress and go way back in not taking advantages of cheaper prices with PMGs and everything else,
Yeah.
and those will continue to haunt me until I own one. Uh, but it's such is life. And yes, you do move on, but I, like you, was severely agitated, and if I would have had an opportunity to break something, I probably would have. Uh, uh, and the pain from last night caused me to not even bother to look at auctions today, if that tells you anything, because it just it royally pissed me off.
Yeah, the one, and again, that broder where I'm not, like I said before, I've notated it many a time. I've been in that market more so. We're coming up on a year where I've been really focused on him over Waugh, Forsberg, Sakic. I haven't seen the 96, 97 artist proof pinnacle. And with that, or there might have been one, but this is the asterisk with that. It's sort of like the mirror golds of that 96, 97, and the reds and the blues out of select certified. They have, it's almost like a refractor line or a print line where the hollow foil is in the name. And there's a lot of them that have chipping, sort of like some of those Crown Royal or Kramer's Choice, where some of that foil has come off, or it looks ragged almost. And a lot of that stuff, yeah, you can throw out 70, 60, 80 bucks, whatever it is for a box, but that pinnacle of that year really sticks. So, I mean, even if I got one, the chances are it coming out of a pack. I don't need gem mint. I just want that foil to all be intact, and I want no refractor print lines. What's going on, Mike? And to have that lot go for $26.08 when I was willing to pay 4 times it, I'd hoped, I'm like, God, I hope somebody just bid something higher. And it made me feel, I don't say better, but I'm like, okay, at least somebody else is out there looking too. And nope. The one there's two, I put the two in the picture because I don't have the two that I really, to this day, I'm a grumbly person over. It's one is out of 2000 Crown Royale. I want to say it was whatever the one a pack rookie insert, but there's a parallel version of 25 that I think was die cut. Northcutt was on, and this was during like a wrestling pay per view was ending, so like 7:30, 8ish at night on a Sunday. Missed it, $20. That's the only one I've ever seen, and that was 13 years ago, 14 years ago. Another one was on a Facebook auction group that really it. I'm a huge Bob Gibson fan. I don't look for a ton of his stuff. I just because again I can't look for all 73,846,291 of my player PC, quasi PC, sometimes on days that end in QPCs on eBay. But I think it was an '01 Donruss Classics. It was I want to say the stadium seat, but it was the autograph version. So I put, I think 30 or 35 on it because I saw that right away. I'm like, that's a card I need to get. And instead of, again, the auctions ended at 8, so I'm sitting there and watching 7:59. Instead of like putting just like 50, and because again, like you could see on Facebook when people are typing, it's that little, just like a text, the dots or whatever. instead of doing that, I'm sitting there and I'm waiting. And then so I'm like, oh, I'll put in like 36. And so the guy put 40 and I put 36 and it clicked to 8 and I didn't have a chance to. So instead of not being a chintzy idiot and going with my gut and just being, hey, just if you pay more, you're going to be happier because you're going to get the card. I didn't. And that one, that's another one I haven't seen because I've looked for that specific card or I've typed in 2001 Bob Gibson autographs and I haven't come across it. Now, again, that's only been about 5 or 6 years, but still, that's one that I'm particular with a lot of the veteran, older Hall of Fame guys I want to get. A lot of stuff doesn't appeal to me. That one is on card, just a great photo, a nice clean design, and it, for $40, that's again, you look in retrospect, yeah, there's probably more of the Josh Johnson stuff being bought, more of just like whatever crappy player PC. But that's when you beat yourself up for like thinking, why the hell couldn't you pony up the money? What the hell was the hang up? Because it's a card you want. You've been sitting there and you've lamented for a week. You're sitting there, oh, I can't wait for Sunday, can't wait for Sunday, can't wait for whatever auction day it ends. And now can you start counting pennies? I mean, I guess, and that's what
Isn't
we
that,
have to do.
I was going to say, isn't that how it usually works, though? Because you want to get things for the best price, considering, but at the same time, you still want to kick yourself in the butt for, like you said, not ponying up the dough at that point in time and running the risk of never seeing it again.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's the worst. And those are the ones that stick with anybody. I mean, Paul brought up the Gretzky.
Mm-hmm.
It's one of those in which it's hard to know for sure if, that was high of a percentage chance type situation. However, when you're talking that much of or that much over what it went for, your percentage chances actually, ultimately increase.
Mm-hmm.
But those are the ones, I mean, you've alluded to, some of the older ones. It's a situation last night for you, the situation for me. Those that stick with you, though, are the ones that just it consistently drives you up the wall. And it's always a multitude of things. Like you said, you forget about it, or you think it ends at one time and it actually ended, before, and you're like, crap. Uh, you forget about it. You start getting busy, you do something else. eBay times out, your Wi-Fi sucks. You have no connection somewhere else.
Mm-hmm.
Or for whatever reason, your gut tells you one thing from a bid perspective when the market at that point in time, and you're like, yeah, I probably need to bid a little bit more, and you don't, and something like that happens. But those are the ones that always stick with you, always, and they will always hurt because you're never going. Not that you won't ever have the opportunity again. You won't have the opportunity to potentially get it for said cheaper price, and that's the part that hurts. And it's not that we're cheap people, you know.
No.
Well, my wife says I'm a cheap ass, but hey. Uh, yes, sniping would solve a lot of those, but unfortunately for Dave and I, we're old school. We like to watch them for whatever reason. I guess it's the adrenaline rush and that whatever you want to call it. Uh, I used to use sniping tools. I used them years ago, and I never had an issue. But to me, it kind of took the fun out of it. I like to see that last bit of action that something gets on something,
Yeah.
because it's one of those in which, hey, I know a lot of these guys, a lot of these people are really wanting this, but damn it, this is going to be mine, and you hope for the latter. You hope that you win it. Other times you fall flat on your face. But it's that competition, uh, and I get a thrill out of that, knowing that I'm the one who was able to pull it off at the last minute without the use of a sniping tool. Uh, and the one I used to use was free, and this was, like I said, almost ancient times. Never stood me wrong. Carlos, who always comes and usually hangs out, I know he uses one religiously. Uh, it's really helped him out big time because he doesn't have to worry about anything. Uh, my thing is, as I said, my wife says I'm a cheap ass. I'm not going to pay for a service when I can sit there and actually do it myself, so to speak. It's really tough when you have multiple auctions in at the same time,
Mhm.
but that's when you have to be selective. Or like me, you have your laptop open and you have multiple tabs open and you have your cell phone. So multitasking at its finest.
And I didn't mind using Gixxon. That was the one I used for a long time. If I knew I wouldn't be, if there's like a wedding or something I can't get out of, I'm not gonna be up at the altar at my brother's wedding checking eBay. I'm sure he'd kick me in the nuts. But if that was the case, I'd make sure that I had a stupid bid in, especially if it was something that was a key card for me. Now, with that, if you're like, okay, I can just let it go, I get to the point if I start, because again, my brain is very specially wired. During the week, when you see that I'm special, a lot of people tell me, Steve, all the time. You sit there and you think of a card, and you're like, okay, the week sort of, for whatever reason, and I'm not saying job wise, life wise, whatever. I'm saying eBay wise, or whatever forum wise or whatnot. You look and it's like, okay, it's really a barren wasteland. There's this one card I really wouldn't mind having, and I like it. And I plan to go after it. But let's say there's two other folks trying to bid near the end, and you're watching it. I got my price in mind. I want to bid 80. So it's like, let's say, and if I'm seeing activity near the end, I may put my bid in earlier. I don't want to get that with like 2 seconds left. Oh, you've been outbid automatically because somebody else had a higher bid. I want to put in like 6 or 7 seconds. If I'm outbid, okay. If I really want this card, I'm going to have to pay what I'd probably say is a dumb price. But at the same time, I'm not going to pay just an absolutely stupid price to go from like 80 to 200. Now, if I went from 80 to 120, 140, like the Johnson Topps Chrome Superfractor, that was one where I was like, okay, I better put it in, and it was automatically outbid, so I jumped that thing up to 250, and I got it for like one whatever 40ish or something. But if I did it with like 2 seconds left, I lose the card. Then I'm kung fu fighting everywhere, and I'm pissed off because again, that's a Josh Johnson 101. So I like I like the sniping tools, but if possible, if and especially if it's something where you've either been looking for it for a long time and it's not super rare, but you're like, this is in my top half of the top 25 or whatever you've got for a want list, you're going to want to watch it. You're going to want to watch those seconds clock tick down and throw in the bid when you feel necessary. But that would be my advice too, not to, if it's something that's one of your top fives, don't bid with 2 seconds left unless you're putting up a crazy number. And I mean, if it's at like 100 and you put up like 700, I don't know what you would do that for, but I'm something like that where it's you better be comfortable losing if it goes up to like 710 or 715 or whatever the 705, whatever the number is that jumps. But it's I'll always want to look. I'll always want to visually see the clock strike zero and know that I got my bid in. I don't have to rely on technology other than my internet and my app and my cell phone. If I have to, like a Gixxon, like a sniping site, I've had those fail a couple times too. So it's you want to trust in that stuff, but at the same time, I don't know. I like looking. I'm not a voyeur, but I like looking.
Don't lie. You already said you're special, so
This is correct.
that that falls in line too. Yes, better half. To answer your question, since I know you're here, I don't have to respond to my text. We will have hopefully here before too long. That is, if better half stands by her word. We will have a special appearance by none other than Vinny, who is going to be requested to open something live on video for his birthday. Dave, you already know what it is. Shut up, don't say anything. But yes, you already know what it is. Look back in our text messages, what we talked about, think long and hard, shopping for said individual, helping the wife out. Come on. Shake your head, yes. Okay. Are you lying?
Right. You know what? We've had 2 times already that the internet's been like Charlie Brown slow motion. I don't know why. And I'm like, come on now, stupid weather. Just, and it's not shitty or anything. It's just warm. And I'm like,
And I know he can hear me. That's beside the point. I'm not spoiling anything other than the fact that he's having to open something.
good.
So whenever he decides to jump on here, I did send him the link, Dave. So whenever
Okay.
he pops on, and I'm sure he can probably shed some light on a few instances as well. He's had some frustrating moments. I mean, even better half is, got to deal with it. So it's a never ending battle. It's sometimes the cards just aren't in your favor, and in certain instances, yeah, it's very easy to move forward and move on.
Mhm.
If it's not something super rare type situation, then chances are it'll probably come up again at some point. But for cards that you haven't seen but one every few years type situation is really kind of what the focal point has been in the discussion, because like I said, the one that I missed out on it went for like a little over $17, I think.
Mm.
And that's, I mean, I wasn't expecting it for that cheap. I mean, because I already had in my mind what I was gonna, because I had my bid in and
Mhm.
I hit submit and it just didn't do a damn thing. Somebody stole that card. I mean, I don't know how else to put it. And it's the first one I've seen, and I can't remember when. So, what have ever come into your? I don't. I'm going to be honest. I don't know specifically what eBay's policy is on that. However, years ago, you knew who bought cards,
Mhm.
so it was very easy for you to go straight to the buyer and ask.
Mhm.
I did it a few times. If
Yep.
it wasn't like the main Terrell Davis collectors that I used to go up against all the time years and years ago, I'd ask them,
Mhm.
and I'd of course be willing to pay more than what they purchased
Yep.
because it was something that I wanted. Um, with it being blocked more so these days, I have a feeling they probably put it into their policy, which is why they started redacting some of the letters and the numbers in the name for those who purchase something. Um, there was one instance that I didn't get flagged, but I did reach out to the seller, and it was a big card, um, and asked, you know, hey, is there any way that you can, put me in touch with the buyer?
Mm-hmm.
This is a card I've been looking for almost my entire life type situation. Okay, maybe that was a little far fetched, but one that has always been on my list, and the guy obliged, which was kind of cool. Uh, and then there's this guy. Uh, who are you?
I'm in bizarro world. I've been told by my wife to go on a podcast. What world do I live in where your wife permits you and says go on a podcast, and the YouTube jokers decide to play text message behind my back and
I don't know what you're talking about.
That's why I love you two guys.
I call BS. It's all a bunch of BS. I don't believe anything you're saying. Anyways, as I was saying, before Vinny decided to interrupt me, damn you. But it's okay. It's you. We don't mind. It's always nice to have you on. But it was kind of funny. I will say before I finish my story, your wife told me, I was like, it'd be cool if he came on. I was like, but only if he can get away from work. And she's like, I'll make him. I'm like, okay. we know who wears the pants in that house.
Mm-hmm.
So yes, I'm not giving you what. Hi. One of my other favorite people.
Absolutely.
But I ended up reaching out to the buyer and just, asking the question. I was like, hey, look, I reached out to the seller. He gave me your information. Congratulations on winning the card. Is there any possible way that we can work out something? Because this is a card I've been looking for forever.
Yeah.
And he's like, I appreciate you reaching out. He's like, I really wanted this card, one of my favorite players. And it was like, my heart just like sank because it's like, well, if it's one of your favorite players, that's a card that you really wanted, I can't fault the person. I should have done my due diligence and done better, right? I mean, it all falls on me. I'm the failure in that situation. I was like, nope, completely understand. I appreciate you even responding type situation. If for any reason you decide to let it go, please, please, please give me the opportunity to be the first in line. He's like, nope, absolutely, without a doubt. Never heard from the person. So, hopefully it's stayed in a good home type situation. It wasn't a 101. It wasn't, anything super low numbered. It is what it is. But I would be interested to see. No, I have not. I have not gotten it. I have not seen it. And I'm not going to say what it is either. Because that's another one that haunts me to this day. And that was just for lack of being a cheap bastard. And I'll leave it at that.
But that's where the eBay thing then, because I've mentioned for the 11 years I've been making videos on YouTube, where Dog and Suds or Dog and Suds, DAWGNSUDS was my huge rival on eBay for Dennis Northcutt. He is a doctor in I think the Cleveland area, because we've eventually it got to the point where he was starting to sell some of his stuff. I said, hey, Northcutt's not there anymore. Is there any way you'd move, or what do you have for like super low numbered Northcutt stuff? The one I'm looking for most is the Ultra 2000, the Masterpiece. By chance, do you have that? He's like, yeah. Like, do you have a price on it? Is it something you're willing to move? let me know, because I'd be super interested if we can come to like an agreement. And I think he just said, oh yeah, $50 and you can have it. Like, I know it's done at Northcutt, but once again, you collect somebody for over a decade, and that's your grail, and you find it, and it's $50, and it's coming from a Cleveland Browns guy, because when you used to be able to look at the feedback, they'd show you what they bought. It's like Joe Thomas score select auto, Brady Quinn SP Authentic Gold RPA to 25. I mean, he was buying everything, and it wasn't just one. For the big stuff, he was buying as much as he could. So for him to just be like $50 for that, I'm like, okay, we have a deal. And I bought a couple times more from him, and I've got his, I want to say his name is Mark. I still got his email and his Hotmail account somewhere in like a trading card folder or whatever. And I know he's got some of those Collector's Edge T3, the personal collection, the red ink autos that are all 101, but it's just basically like somebody doing like a pose, and then every shot, like a super quick resolution or whatever camera, just constantly taking pictures. They're all just 101s, but there's like 30 of them, maybe more. But we've talked, and I think he's a little high from what I remember, because I think he won like 50 for each of those. We were paying that much back 2000, 2001, 2002. Time has gone on. It has not been kind to those cards. The values of $60 and $50 are no longer the norm. So, and then since then I haven't discussed anything with him, but that's where, at least back then, you knew your nemesis. You knew, and there's ways to get around it. I mean, if you can use, you don't use keywords or key symbols or stuff like that, and you can at least get in contact with people. Because I've done that. I've reached out to people, said, hey, if you want to sell this and you want to have a discussion, I mean, you've got this up for $8,000. Well, unless the money tree is out in the back of your yard, you're not getting that. If you want to, yeah, if you would like to discuss a human offer, I'm willing to talk. And I mean, there's been discussions, and it's worked out, but you have to know to like serpentine through that, and not, because you can get flagged, I mean, instantly, if you're not clever with your verbiage. Some people might say, "Oh, that's not good. You have to go through eBay, and they have to." Well, they've got it up for a buy it now price. Nobody's hit the buy it now. I see. It's fair game. If it's in the middle of an auction, that's a little more shady. That's where I'm like, okay, you got 6 or 10 or 20 bids in. If you're trying to come in there and flex, no, just let the auction ride. And because if somebody sees that and they see, oh man, that guy took down that auction, well, how do you know? Well, if that's PSA or SCG or BGS, well, that number right there seems to be the one, the auction that all of a sudden came down, or the serial number in the back of the card if it's shown or listed. So buy it now best offers. I don't have a problem with trying to at least get some communication going to see if people will budge. But yeah, if you try to jump in an auction, I'm like, I don't know about that.
Yeah.
That's where I sort of draw the line.
I am curious to circle back to LA Pat's statement, though. Did you give them permission? I hate to use that word because that sounds like you're trying to be a parent or something. But did you authorize them to share your information in those situations? And for any reason, did it amount to you moving a card to help another collector or anything along those lines, or was it a situation where maybe it wasn't to a collector, it was more to a dealer or something along those lines for whatever reason. I'm just curious to know how that kind of ended up, how that turned out for you and your experience from that perspective. Because like I said, I've only done it once, outside of, years ago when you knew, who bought stuff to where you could just reach out and contact them directly type situation. And like I said, I never went to my competition. It is interesting. I had my competition come to me a few times. And I hate to say it, I told them to go pound pavement. Ha ha, I won, you didn't. No, it wasn't that bad. But, it was one of those. It's the gentleman's agreement, though. It's like, man, I was really hoping to get that. Congratulations. I'm happy for it going to a collector, because once you learn who the collectors are for a player or a team specifically, there is still that little bit of brotherhood, that, common connection. And, same situation, hey, if for any reason you decide to move from your Terrell Davis collection, please reach out to me. No, absolutely. So it helps to build those connections, as we always allude to in this. But to be honest, I don't even know if my old competition is still buying up stuff. I don't know if they stopped. None of the names look familiar, from what I can recall in the past. There's more TD collectors than what there once was. So there's new people in the mix. But yeah, it's interesting to say the least.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the one I bought, what was it? The Superfractor of Amaro. And that was somebody on Facebook posting, oh, I would have paid at least twice as much. I'm like, well, my max bid was 3 times as much as a high bid. And so he started emailing me, because a couple of friends had tagged me in that. And they're like, did you get this? I'm like, yep. No, I was stepping away. I had to cook the meal for the kids. I'm like, well, TFB.
Right. Hi, C, because I know you can hear me.
So
Hello.
Hi. So yeah, it was. He started messaging me. I really need it for my master set, and he had I don't know, like 5 or 6, 7 superfractors. But I'm like, if you're really going for the master set of 2014 GFL, because there's a lot of big names in there.
Yep.
So I'm like, it's gonna be mine. If you had it, I'd get it from you. So it's where it belongs. It's where it needs to be. If you really wanted it, like we just alluded to, you would have made sure you would have had something up. But that's how it goes.
So we'll let Vinny share some of his fun stories. I do like that one. Those are always fun, in the sense where they list them jacked up and you get it for a steal, and somebody reaches out type situation. If it's something that you don't mind partying with, then why not take advantage of the situation. But I know Vinny's had a run of bad luck over the past few months, like the rest of us. So you had the floor temporarily to share some of those that have haunted you before we give you the full floor to open something.
So a Insert Revolution podcast legendary story now. What was it? About 4 or 5 episodes ago, I was on, and I received the offer for the Artist Proof 96-97 Zenith for $1. And I was looking around. You guys were like, what the heck is Vinny doing? Well, I was on my phone accepting the offer for the $1. And then promptly, as Steve said it, 32 seconds later, I was denied and said it was out of stock. So the same said card, I think it was 11 o'clock on Monday morning, popped up $99 starting bid or best offer. same card, same seller. It miraculously appeared again. So it was not out of stock. It was in stock. So now that it was in stock, I made a best offer and he accepted the best offer. So there's a story that was actually a bad story gone right. So that was a semi-loss, but then a win after about a month and a half. So it's on its way. I think it's coming from somewhere in the States, so it should be here in 4 or 5 days.
All right, we don't want the positive crap. We're all about the negative, Vinny. Hit us with those that still hurt you
Fire
to
on
this
ice.
day.
Fire on ice. 96, 97, Mary Lemieux, fire on ice. That's all I have to say. I've tried for 3 of them. They've all gone for over $100. I bid strong, close to that amount, to no avail, and I have lost. So that one, that's probably the one that eats at me the most because it's numbered to what, Dave? Lower 1,500?
I think either 1,000 or 1,500.
Something like that. And I just, you don't see them. I have a saved search. The earlier one from the first or second year of Leaf, we have those coming out our nose. Those are common. But that 96, 97, I do have a box of retail that I picked up. So maybe I will one day open that said box of retail and take a shot, even though I have a very little chance of hitting that card, but it'd be nice.
That would be pretty cool, though. Just make
It
sure
would.
when you open it, make sure that's one that you do record.
Yes,
just throwing that out
will
there.
be recorded.
So with that better half, are you still present?
Are you still present?
Yes, I'm here.
All right, it's time for Mr. Vinny to open.
So you have to tell them we have a contest every year.
So she likes to outdo me on presents every year. So most of the time for the past 9 years, I've been winning said contest.
Really? What about the Mario Lemieux autograph jersey?
Oh yeah, the 1 year that was my birthday. So you did the Lemieux jersey that's behind me in my backdrop normally.
Mm-hmm.
That was from her. So that year she did win. So 8 out of 9.
I think she kicked your butt.
Yeah, she got me on that one. So we're gonna.
This is part one.
This is part one. This is.
I knows this one.
I saw this one. I saw the video for this one, Dave. I don't know if you knew about this one.
This is when he came back from.
Yeah, we need to hear him.
This was the 2001 when he came back. So that's autographed. It's Beckett authorized down there at the bottom. So I never thought of something like this. I love this uniform. It's probably my favorite Penguins uniform, next to the one from the Badger Bob on the side in the 25 years when they won the second cup. So, and I've just been handed a package from Canada, which I don't know about. And
Dave and I had nothing to do with this.
Yeah, that's right.
So I'm not going to look. Said card is in my hand. And now I'm going to flip it over. And holy geez.
Thank you, Steve. Thank you, Dave.
Oh, sure.
So that's out of the cup. And that would be my first Lemieux autograph card. And
My wife.
that's
is
the
best.
skate. It looks to be the skate from the Penguin.
And then look at the autograph.
Payback's horrible, wife. Payback's horrible. 23 of 25 signature patches.
Alexander Ovechkin jersey.
Yeah. Well,
I can keep your blood in here.
I'm sure that you two had a lot to say about this.
About what?
About
what?
Yeah.
What are you talking about?
Mm-hmm.
There was no conversation that I had with the better half about anything. I don't know what you're talking about.
I will find the text messages. And when
No,
I
you
do,
won't.
yeah, I don't have the code to her phone. It's face imprinted, so like I can't get my ugly mug can't open anything. So that's not going to happen.
Very nice.
Yes, very nice, very nice.
Reading one of the. I should read one of the. I should read some of the
25.
comments.
You're welcome, better half. It is the best product of hockey for those who collect hockey. We know he's been.
Bye, guys. Have a wonderful night.
You too,
You too,
Steve.
see.
Bye.
Bye.
As a player collector, you always need a top tier, top product, autograph, or patch auto or something in your collection. And knowing all of us, I'm pretty sure, knew what Vinny got his wife, which is awesome. And I know she loved it. She, of course, wanted to top it, which started the conversation. And she sent me a couple types, and I was like, you know what? I got to reach out to Dave because I don't do hockey searches. I know it's hard to believe, the hockey oracle, not self-proclaimed by any stretch of the imagination. I don't do hockey searches. But Dave being more involved and looking at a lot of things, I'm like, okay, knowing that this is for Vinny, knowing what said budget is, we have to knock this out of the ballpark. And it's a multicolored piece. The skate, which is cool as hell. I was trying to find something that was more a patch, but the skate design was cool. On card from the cup, number to 25. There were other options, but we kept going back to that one.
Mm-hmm.
So hopefully it made your night. Hopefully you were pleased. Hopefully that'll be a new centerpiece to your collection.
Pretty much.
Courtesy of your wife. We just helped with the recommendations and the suggestions. That's all we did.
Nice go, guys. I appreciate it.
Now, if you need to go change your underwear, you can be excused.
I won.
For now.
Yeah, she won. And she did tell me.
Yeah, there was some other stuff we looked at, but again, it was.
And I will say, she told me, she's like,
That was so bad.
He-
That would put you on top.
he looked at that card and was like, what? I would never buy that card. And she was like, oh crap, I'm going to cry. I said, no. I was like, here's the thing that you have to understand. Vinny saying that is he would never buy that for himself. There's the difference. And the fact that he came across it and paid attention to it and made a comment, that indicated that it's like, crap, that's a cool card. So I speak Vinny in multiple levels. So I had to assure the better half that no, we're still good. I promise. We're still good. Because she was upset. I mean, she was upset. She's like, I seriously think I'm going to cry. I'm like, no, we're good. I promise. We're good.
Yeah, I would work up to that. That card to me, I don't know what I'm thinking in my head a ballpark of what that cost. And that is a card that I would probably work up to over the next 3 to 5 years. Because in my collection now, the holes of inserts, the holes of numbered cards are there.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't dived into the autograph realm. I just started getting into more patches and jersey cards because I was able to take out 1,500 different unique Lemieux cards. Now I'm into it where the next level of uniqueness are the patch cards, are the jersey cards, are the big cards that I haven't seen yet that I look for constantly. Then there's other cards, like Dave said, you're willing to pay to have 4 copies, 5 copies, 6 copies, 50 copies, because it's just a card that when you see it, it's one of those cards. And to me, Lemieux has, there's probably 50 or 60 cards that they're not expensive, but I just absolutely love. It's just the way it
honey,
is.
You're not getting a gift card, by the way.
Okay, thank you.
So Ty, no, there was no bidding or anything along those lines. The better half stole Vinny's phone and got my phone number. Now I can play this whole thing back to you. NFL draft Thursday night, watching the first round of the draft. Multiple text messages going back and forth in our group chat, our IRP group chat that we've had for, quite some time now. Having other side chats, and I get a random text message. Hi, Steve. This is Better Half. Hope you don't mind. I stole your number from Vinny's phone. He's sitting right next to me. I need your help. Okay. And the conversation went from there. So, but I guess it's a good thing he didn't have multiple Steves in his phone, Better Half, because that could have been interesting.
Well, since I have your first and last name in there, it makes it hard. And then she misspelled your last name when she put it in her phone. So
that's all right. I promise you, I've probably been called worse.
Probably,
which is okay.
I probably called you worse.
Allegedly.
No, real life. There is no allegedly. But it's all in good fun, As we always say, we poke fun at each other from time to time. It's all out of love. This is like the extended family. So it's one of those in which we pick at each other, we make fun of each other, we make fun of ourselves. It's all in good fun. So there was no bidding on that one. It was one she reached out to us looking for suggestions. We started providing suggestions, and she did all the work. Mm-hmm. So we had nothing to do with any of that aspect of it at all.
We just did the legwork.
Yep. Offer the recommendations. So super happy for you. I haven't bothered to bother the Better Half in some time because I had a feeling it was coming from Canada, and it was a nice welcome surprise to get that text message from her today saying, "Guess what showed up today?" I'm like, perfect timing.
Yeah, my birthday's not for 2 months because she can't keep anything a secret for more than 36.2 seconds. I'm surprised she lasted this long.
Well, the nice thing about it is now you have the added memory of your birthday from your wife being shared with your group, with your people. So
yes, I would. I would buy BGS, I would buy SGC, I would buy PSA. I would stick to those 3, and probably one of my biggest kick in the tails is not buying them when they were cheaper and buying multiple copies thereof, because a Topps Mario Lemieux rookie, when I bought it, it was $105, and I thought I spent the farm. It was early on in my return to the collecting world. Now those go for about $600 to $700. So I 7X'd it. But
How dare you use that terminology on this show? Damn you, Dave! Can you kick him out for using that? I'm just kidding. Go ahead.
It's I could care less. I remember growing up and looking in the showcases and always seeing those raw Lemieux sitting there for $100, $100. I'm like, one day I'm gonna snatch one of those. That's the it was the centerpiece until that thing showed up. That was my card. I was gonna buy it with my own money. I wasn't gonna have my parents buy it for me. I wasn't gonna have somebody give me it as a gift. That card I wanted to buy myself because it was all the 30 years of collecting cards culminated in one card. That to me was every trip to the card store saying, I'm going to get that card one day. I know it might not sound a lot of thrills and hoo-ha to it, but it's just something that it was something that I had to obtain on my own, pay with my own money, and when it came in, it's the most beautiful 7 in the world. So,
yeah, I did that for years on the '86 Fleer Jordan, going into the shop and having it stare me in the face. And one of these days, I will own one at some point. It will not be a 10. It won't be a 9.5. It won't be a 9. Probably won't be an 8 for that matter. But that is one card that still is on my list at some point to obtain. So it's not my main PC, as everybody knows, but it's one of those in which I saw it all the time. And that's another one that haunts me to this day, so to speak, of never just buying it. Because I could have put it on layaway.
That's the first graded card I ever saw was a guy, Sam the Man. He was an older dealer where I grew up. And one day he put it down a stack. There were 7 or 8 of them things, all PSA, early years of PSA. And I'm like, what's this? He goes, that's a graded card. That's the future. He goes, this is hard, son. And he had me intrigued, and he explained the whole thing. He said, one day this is going to be a big deal. And he was probably in his mid-60s at the time. That's the guy that I said, he's dead now, going back to previous IRP podcasts. But that guy's collection was hands down hockey, football, basketball, baseball, everything. If it was vintage, he had it. He had Mantles, he had Clementes, he had Lemieux, he had Gretzky's, he had everything. And when he passed, it went into poof, oblivion. All I keep on seeing is Kevin Spacey go poof, like in The Usual Suspects. And it's that collection, if found and intact of where he probably left it, you're talking Golden's dream of dreams of vintage cards. It was a sight to see. I'm privileged to have seen the cards that dude used to have in his case. It was insane. And the thing is, nobody had the scratch to buy it. It's like Ricky Russo. You don't have the fazzoles to pay for half of this stuff, but he had it. It's just, but those cards, what grades today, I'd be happy with a 4 OPC Lemieux rookie, 5 if it looked. But if you're looking at them, and I look at them daily, the corner is just a little too rounded. This is a little too, you want to get, if you're going to go after a 4 or 5, you want that 4 or 5 to be as pristine as possible. Mm-hmm. And then when you're talking about pack pulled, you figure a box of that rookie year for Lemieux is going around 5 to 15 grand a box. If it's BBC wrapped, you're looking at 15 to 20.
Mm-hmm.
So pack pulling those is going to be, you're not going out to, it's not going to be like your, what's a box of Trout's rookie year go for? Probably 3 or 4 grand a box. So you're talking 3 times that. So it's not going to be a common box.
No.
Now, 3 to 5 years ago, you probably could get them for $400 to $500, and probably would have been a heck of a buy to stock up about 6 of those.
Yeah.
But being in wax packs, the tampering over since 1985, you're talking about 36 years of possible people opening them up, tampering with them. The only time you really want to go, even a BBCE wrapped or from a sealed case, you're not going to see very few pack pooled Lemieux cards going in to get graded. You're going to see old copies that are in collections being sold raw and hoping they're not trimmed. And there's fakes out there.
Mm-hmm.
So watching yourself to buy them, even the it's the Brett Hall rookie year. That set was very heavily counterfeited. So you have to look at those. I was buying those for $1 all day long. And now they go for about 5 to 10, but the centering's off, the surface is jacked. It's anything pre-90. After 90, the boxes, you're getting into the 1,000 range to 5,000. Maybe for the cup, 7-8 grand for like Crosby's rookie year. But anything pre-90, it's heavy duty money, a box.
Yeah, and most of that stuff, it's coming out of somebody's collection raw and going in for grading. It's not you're sitting at the BGS table at a national or something and ripping it. And well, here's a Waugh rookie, sub that. Here's a Rick Tocchet, sub that. LaFontaine, give me RCR that for me. It's been sitting in binders, in hard plastics and boxes for decades, coming out of the woodwork, out of people's attics or the walls or electrical fixtures or whatever. We're seeing the light of day for the first time in eons, and people are like, wow, that's looking pretty snazzy, pretty sharp. I think that would do well at the old grading compound, and that's where most of that stuff's going. Obviously, it's not the 2018 Tops update or 2018 Tops where, you can have a line from Long Island out to San Francisco of people that have busted open that stuff 10 times over. So that's where you have to look at they're going to pay obviously a premium. Do you want to take the chance with the wax? Do you want to buy the sure thing? If you buy the sure thing, unlike times past where it's sort of a heads or tails in the price, now you are paying a huge premium on the sure thing. Even if you do, there's how many Fleer Jordans in a box? 2 to 3 plus a sticker or 2. Well, maybe those are 80-20 centering. So then that great investment of I'm going to get 3 Jordans at least, or 2. Well, you got an 80-20 and a 70-30. Have fun.
Do you want to put your trust in Coalition from the 1980s?
Well, at least for that, it was a 132 code set. So it's not like the usual 692 or 702 for the tops or whatever it was. So because I know Eric's mentioned many times those back pages trying to get that, and I don't remember the number, 646 or whatever Gooden's rookie number is, trying to get that, and it's just like, I think he had the one pack pulled one, which is his wallet card, but it's tough to pull that stuff if it's in those 600, 700 card sets. The Jordan, lucky it's only 132, but that was Fleer's first foray into basketball since I think the 60s, because they might have had like a dip of the toes in there in 60, 61. I don't know if they, because I remember there was I don't know if it was a football or a baseball set too, and that they had like a 50 or 60 card checklist, and so to get back into basketball, I'm sure they weren't going to go 10 players a team. What would have been 26 teams probably back then, before Orlando and Miami and Charlotte and all them came in. So the Jordan, it's more feasible to pull multiple copies, but at the same time, those multiple copies could have a truck ton of issues. So if you're paying for a box, you may as well look for a copy that's graded already. Peace of mind. Yep, the thrill probably is gone when you get the 7 or 6 and know what it is. But you know what? You don't have to pay up for the grading. It's in hand. You're not paying twice for a card. So,
Well, and with the counterfeit aspect on the Jordan rookie, though, too, that's not worth a chance, in my opinion, especially if you're going to spend that kind of money. I'll defer that to the hockey folks. I'm going to graciously bow out of that one. That would require a response from one of the two of you.
I'm thinking.
Don't take so long.
I was having my mindset on talking about Dave said about the basketball. 61 Wilt Chamberlain is Fleer, the rookie. I just happened to be looking at those with my dad the other night, and PWCC had a 9 for a shade under $500,000 on their auction block. So I was thinking about that. Now I'm going to answer said question by just refreshing my memory.
thanks for stopping by. And you as well have a good evening. But yeah, that Robitaille, I don't know.
I picked up his rookie for $6 the other day. Yeah, that's a good idea right there.
So why don't you just offer that recommendation? Go find the seller.
I've got it somewhere. I will send this link, LA Pats, on Instagram to see. I don't know if the seller still has any. I haven't looked in quite a spell, but if he does, I'll send it to you. And I'd recommend that just because at your leisure, you can sit there and sort of peruse it. But like we've said many a time before too, you have questions. You're like, hey, I don't know, what is this comparative to this? If there's something like a score artist proof or a score dealer's choice artist proof, come to us, ask. Well, we'll try to give you the information, and then you can make your decision based upon that information. Just because Robitaille, I'd look up, I think, 95, 96 score. I don't know if he's got a golden blades, but that would be a cool insert.
Artist proofs.
The artist proof, the black ice artist proof. There was
probably the first year Black Diamond or the second year Black Diamond, the gold.
Yeah,
96, 97. That'd be a solid one. That probably was Robitaille's doesn't get a lot of hobby love like he should, being one of the probably top 100 players of all times. I'll do a big, large blanketed statement. His patches are pretty reasonable. So if you want to go after refractors, I just saw a refractor for $5. He's in a Red Wings uniform. That wouldn't be. It's out of OPG or Tops. So,
LA Pats, I just threw the link in there. That's a 2018 version for $10.
The 94-95 Score Dream Team. He's
that's
got
a
one of
good
those.
one.
That's a toughie to come across. No 95-96 inserts. I'm beyond stunned.
Oh, if you're bet on the 2000s, there's a couple that are like parallels in Tops. Look at Top Stars, the blue. That's a solid one. I'm looking at one right now, very cheap. Would be a good buy. He's looks to be back in a LA Kings uniform. So where he started from.
What I would do is type in Robitaille and type in artist proof, or type in Robitaille and the backslash to either 100 or 99 or 50 or 25, and just see what pops up. Because I mean, the artist proofs, I'm sure he's got a 97, 98 score, so that thing pops beautifully. 96, 97, not so much, but again, it's a one per box parallel. And it's a deep checklist, so it's not like there's 50 cards and that's it. There's 400. So you figure one a box. If we do those odds, that's a pretty lengthy jump.
Does he have any mirrors?
Yeah,
Probably.
I bet you 96.7 for sure, and probably 97.8.
Yep, because he played into the early 2000s.
Yep.
Yeah. Any of your mirrors, mirror red, mirror blue, mirror gold,
Yeah,
and then
Robitaille mirror, and that should bring you up those two. I mean,
And even the regular blue and red.
Select 95 first line. That's a nice Doofix style insert. One per 2 boxes. So again, it won't break the bank. The 95, 96 select certified mirror gold. Another beautiful card.
What about 300 copies? They're a little bit less rare than the 96, 97.
Well, 95, 96 being not quote unquote print runned. Wow. Print runned or listed or notated or stated print run. Because I don't even remember what the pack pull ratio was those even for football. But it was 1 or 2 a box, I think, in 95 select. Don't hold me to that for hockey by any stretch of the imagination. But those would be a lot more common, I would think, than, of course, your mirrors once you start hitting 96 and 97. Because those at least had stated print runs.
Mm-hmm.
Well, yeah, the mirror gold for 95, 96 are 1 and 5.
So what, 5? Almost 5 a box then? Because were there 20 packs?
Yeah, either 20 or 24.
Let's go find out.
Vinny has one. He'll go look.
Yeah.
But yeah, the LA Pats. Go ahead, Dave.
The artist proofs are always going to be, if they're not the mega players, you can find them, I won't say on the cheap, but comparatively speaking, still to this day, the Robitailles, the LaFontaines, the Adam Oates, even Ray Bork to a degree. These are Hall of Fame players. These aren't schlubs that I got in the NHL for 30 games one year for a San Jose Sharks expansion team that was 13, 50, and 8. Fruitful careers, championship rings, accolades, awards, whatever you want to throw out there. There was a lot of stuff. We've said it. A lot of stuff still to be had at solid prices. Don't buy into the hype, the market crashing. Not everything in the market has come up. And there's a doggo for Ed. Of course, Ed not here, but doggo is. So just look up, I'd say, the common. Another thing I've done too, if I've wanted to really narrow in for a Brodeur and say, oh, I'm in a 96 mood or a 97. Just type in 97 Robitaille, 96 Robitaille. I mean, it's stuff you probably already know, but that's where I'd go, because then you don't type in Luke Robitaille and come up with 8,950 hits. You can sort of narrow the stuff down, and it just makes it easier. That's what I'll sort of wrap that up with. But the mirrors, the artist fruits, Robitaille patch, type that into. I mean, just simple keyword stuff, you know. But yeah, I'd like to see what you come up with, and hopefully an Insta down the road you'll share some stuff. Because again, it is fun. It's fun to have that guy that you used to like watch and be a fan of when he played, and you're like, you know what, I really haven't thought of collecting him, and then you do, and that adds a whole new level of joy to your collection and just your overall hobby experience.
Yeah, that's what I was going to allude to, LA Pats. If it's one of those in which you have baseball or basketball or football related inserts that you enjoy, doesn't hurt to check if they cross over to hockey, even though hockey to me has always been on its own. It's never been on a level playing field. There's a lot more creativity, it seems, in some of their insert sets. I've noticed, because of, you know, watching what Dave's picked up and seeing a lot of the stuff that Carlos has showed, and then those that Vinny has showed, and some of the other guys on Instagram that I follow. So there seems to be a lot more creativity in a lot of the designs, I've noticed. So not saying that that's what you should focus on. However, if there is something that transcends multiple sports and you have that appreciation for them because of the aesthetic appeal, I mean, that to me would also be a good place to start, though, too, because you can't go wrong. If you enjoy them in baseball or football or basketball, then there should be no reason why you wouldn't enjoy them in hockey.
Yeah, even if you can't find the inserts, if there's parallels you like too. The UD MVP gold script, the superscript. I don't know what he's in for, like 95, 96 finest, but what if he's got a silver? Maybe he's got a silver refractor. If he's in that category or that subset. So I mean, there's multiple avenues to go down, and I hope soon we will see some Luke Robitaille stuff, because I don't think I'm following anybody that has a vested interest in Robitaille. I liked him for the Kings, especially. That was where I remember a lot from.
All right, Vinny, hit us.
6 cards per pack, 20 packs per box.
So
It's
4 bucks.
original. It's original 95, 96. Approximately mirror gold. Yep. No.
1 and 5.
The pinnacle. The pinnacle's covering the odds, because it does not. Oh, it says something about 144. Now it's 1 in 5, like you said. It says 144 card set. Certified futures, certified gold team, double strike, case chase, 20 cards, yada yada. Grand Prairie, Texas. Half the battle is knowing what to collect. Pinnacle. G.I. Joe.
The real American hero.
Yep, that's that's the first thing that popped into my head. Duke screaming it, or Hawk, or I forget the other one. Screaming at as they went into battle.
I was going to say we're going to start talking toys this time. We've done that a few times.
I had Chick-fil-A last night, so we're hitting all the bases.
I've got Popeyes in there waiting on me. And no, it's not a chicken sandwich.
No.
I'm a plain and dry guy, so you can't order through the app, whether it be directly through them or on Grubhub or anything along those lines, and order it plain and dry. They don't allow it. It's good, plain and dry. I'm just going to throw that out there. It's good enough just to sit on its own. So, but no chicken sandwich. So that's what I get to, that's where I kind of disappeared to briefly to eat a biscuit and eat a quick piece of my chicken. It never fails. Dinner always gets done late on podcast nights. It's like, okay, we've been doing this for 40 weeks. We've been doing this almost for a year. Podcast starts at 7:05. Can we figure this out much earlier? No, not allegedly. This is not allegedly. Everything else can be allegedly, but every Tuesday at 7:05-ish, like clockwork, for almost a year. Never fails. Never fails. So when I disappear briefly, you'll notice that's what I'm doing. Dave doesn't mind stuff in his face while some of us talk, but eating chicken. It's one thing you're eating with the fork. I'm eating chicken, so it looks a little.
Yeah, that chicken's messy, and it's so good though. I've mentioned before the Nashville hot, that type of. As long as it doesn't kill your tongue and you can taste it, I don't mind the sweat. I don't mind the burn. I don't mind the heat. It just burgers and then the chicken sandwich / chicken. Those are the two things that are like Vinny with pizza. I'm that way with burgers. I probably have a wider net cast where I can not find as much fault, I'd say. I can enjoy more, but at the same time, when I get a good burger, that jumps to the top of the food chain, so to speak, in several ways.
I have to say I'm a mushroom Swiss burger myself.
Love.
With a side of ranch.
No.
Yes. Don't knock it till you try it, Dave.
Thanks, Carlos.
Don't knock it till you try it. Adds to the flavor, man. Adds to the flavor.
Who would have thought a Philly cheesesteak sandwich would be good with marinara, mozzarella, and pepperoni on it? That one I posted on Instagram. It's called the Italian Stallion. There's a place here called Lefties, and the wife got the mushroom steak cheese. I got that. Oh, it was good. It was good.
Sounds like that would go good with ranch too. Just throwing that out there.
If you're a C, everything goes good with ranch.
Well, that's why C and I get along.
Pizza, everything.
I have to be in the mood to do, I can do like the crust with ranch. But if I'm actually eating pizza, I have to be in the mood to drown it in ranch.
I like garlic.
Buffalo chicken.
Buffalo chicken, you got to have it ranch. You got to have it.
And I mean, it's got to be. It can't be in a little cup or in a glass or a dish. It's got to be right from the bottle. Because I'll take the piece and I'll like I'm making a sandwich. Squirt on the mustard, squirt on the mayo. Nope, squirt on the ranch. So good, especially when it's right out of the oven.
There's a pizza joint here. They've been around for, my wife said, since she was in her teens. And they made their own ranch concoction and they sell it. You can actually get a squeeze bottle when you order pizza because they sell salads too. So, you could douse your salad and then douse your pizza.
See, those are dangerous. You find like a little mom and pop thing that has something like that. It's like you back up the Brinks and the U-Haul because you're taking it all. It's like, give me the recipe, and it's like, oh, it's Thousand Island and like Miracle Whip. It's like, oh, no, you don't say, or sour cream and Thousand Island or something. It's like, why didn't I think of that about 30 years ago?
It happens. It happens.
Vinny Sr. offered a lady, she was in her 80s. He said it was the best pizza he's ever eaten. He offered her $1,000 cash. So this is 1977. So she wouldn't budge. She goes, I'm taking it to my grave. And her kids, as soon as she died, they closed the pizza joint. So she literally took it to her grave.
Wow. She didn't even pass it on to the family.
Nope. And my dad said, you haven't eaten pizza like that. I think I was too young to remember. So he said I partook. I ate some at some point.
Sounds like somebody else is struggling.
Yeah, it's been one of them days. It's yeah, those kind of things. When it's a secret family recipe and it's gonna die with you, pass it along. There's somebody out there willing to learn it, because there's pizza recipes for whatever. If your family doesn't want to do it, I'm sure there's somebody out there that would love to have that recipe.
Well, my grandmother's fried chicken went to her grave.
See, that's sad.
The only thing that any of us knew is that she made it in the cast iron skillet. Outside of that, we have no idea. And she always kept a lot of her recipes because they were passed on from, her mom and my grandfather's mom and so on and so forth. So a lot of those we have.
Yep.
But her fried chicken recipe, gone. Gone.
The good thing is my granny taught me how to make everything she made. So whether I can make it is one thing, but I know the steps. I know the ingredients. So
well, then you just have to you have to kind of play around with it and learn the technique and everything else to go with it.
yeah. Where my mother is a baker, not a cooker, because her fried chicken, allegedly. Hashtag suspect. Hashtag sus.
Hashtag KFC, maybe. Mike,
dinner,
that's got to be that's got to be tough, Mike, for something like that. Because in situations like that, because you're on the same realm, and this is not a jab at you, Vinny, because you've had your specific focal point for Mario for a long time, and you're progressing into jerseys and patches and so on and so forth. For Dave and Carlos and myself, and for Mike specifically, when you run the whole gambit for your player collection, so to speak, and something like that happens, those are the worst. I've missed out on a ton of one-on-ones in my day, and part of it was my own doing. It's like, yeah, it'd be nice to have, but it's not great looking. Early on, that wouldn't have been the case. It didn't freaking matter. I was going after everything. I didn't give a crap if the autograph was off the sticker. If I didn't care. It was one of those in which I got to have it. And as I continuously progressed, I got a lot more selective with a lot of those cards to add to the collection. But to have something like that happen, and in that specific situation, to unwatch it and then miss it, that hurts. That hurts. I've only done that once. And I can honestly say it's not one that haunts me, because I did end up finally getting one much later, like an idiot. And this hasn't been recent. This hasn't been in the last, 3 to 5 years or whatnot. But I did that with the Upper Deck jersey, 97, first year for Terrell Davis and Upper Deck. And I always considered that one of my Eleanor/Grail cards. And it was a big deal when I finally won it, but I can relate to that scenario of, for whatever reason, not realizing what you've done and accidentally unwatch it. And then you sit there and go, wait a minute. I swore I had an auction coming up that was ending or whatnot. And then you go look and it's like, where is it? Where is it? It's not on my watch list. It's not on my ended list. It's on nothing along those lines. And you're like, oh crap. That's like the worst type feeling in the world, because your heart just like sinks.
I've done it several times.
Unwatch something
Yep.
on accident.
It's not right, Paul. What did I say? About my mother's cooking?
Could be. I still like Carlos's statement. Words are hard. Hashtag not allegedly.
Well, for me, my grandfather was a cook in the army. So he came back and he taught my grandmother everything he liked to eat. And she was like, I like to eat that too. So it was easy. And then he taught my dad. My dad taught my brother. And my dad and my brother cooked a lot. So I had very different. My mom worked a lot. So my dad was coming home and making dinners. So, the great, yeah. Fabrizi pizza, I think it was, if memory serves me right, what my dad said.
You are old though, so you could be wrong.
Yeah, I once you get past 40, it's a crapshoot daily trying to remember stuff. I walked up the steps today and I said to myself, I came up here for a purpose. I'm going to pet the dogs now, say hi to my wife. Anything good in the fridge? No. Okay, I'm going to go back to work now. I don't know why I left. No idea. I do that frequently to often.
Walk into a room and you're like, why the hell am I in here? I was on a mission. I was on a mission. I knew I was needing to do something or look for something or whatever. And screw it.
It's like John Travolta when he hears that voice coming out of the box, and he's like, I was here for a reason. Don't know.
What's going on, Bobby?
Hey, Bobby.
I do that at work quite a bit. I go to like the aisle and you're like, Thankfully, most of the time it's about half hour, 40 minutes later, not standing in the same place for that half hour to 40 minutes, that you realize, oh, that's what I was going to do. And then
Now, If you did that, Dave, then we could really solidify that special that you were talking about earlier. 30 minutes later, still being in the same spot. Now that would be amusing.
Probably not for the people trying to walk around me. That
Who cares about them?
I agree.
Yeah, we do that too.
Mm-hmm.
Instant Messenger is my downfall. When you have about 30 of those things open during the day, and you're like, what was I doing? And then you close one to answer another, and then 2 hours later, oh, I got to get back to her. I got to get back to him. I ignored them to answer another one. That's rough. When you got about 30 of those open at any given time, it's like coming to the Oracle, the trash heap, if you will.
That's why you close them. Yeah. I don't want to mess with you. Close. If they really want it bad enough, they'll reach back out. I'm too busy doing something else right now.
Oh, they will. They will.
I'm too busy.
Quit being so damn good at what you do.
No.
I'm too busy trying to figure out what I was doing before that. You just go away. I got too much on my mind, obviously.
Yep, those moments happen, and I don't think that's an age thing either, folks. That's a life thing. We're all a little out in left field. You know, we all collect cardboard with people on it. So that's what happens when your mind goes 15 million different directions consistently, day in and day out. You have a tendency to forget things.
Not allegedly.
Correct. Yes, in those situations, Bobby, I get it. And there's times in which that type of stuff comes flooding back during conversations when it matters. But if it wasn't brought up in conversation, I wouldn't be able to say a damn thing. Random question could pop up and I'd be like, if you wouldn't have asked me that, I probably would have been able to rattle off a bunch of stuff. But since you ask, I'll get back to you. My brain has locked that information currently. Please try again. I know what I had for dinner yesterday. Chimichangas. With queso on top. And Spanish rice.
Oh.
And I had ribs the night before that. And I had burgers and hot dogs the night before that. I don't forget food.
Yeah,
Ever.
I go through a lot of the same stuff. Like if it's just me here, if I'm with Trista, we usually do something and make something. But I think I have a Red Baron pizza for tonight. Last night I had Tombstone pizza. I don't even know what I had over the weekend. That's the thing. It's like, oh, I think I had some of those chicken tenders because I ate some more of that sauce, the Chick-fil-A sauce. But it's like, just whatever it is. Oh, I must have had Zup's Polish, and then some potato salad the other night too. So again, it's just something simple, quick, and give me the bag of chips. And why am I gaining weight again? I just had a small plate of food for dinner. 6 bags of chips later.
That's the problem, Dick.
That's the downfall is chips.
What? Where did those empty bags of chips come from? What happened there?
Well, no offense, Bobby. Canada is not known for their Mexican food restaurants, so I could understand why you wouldn't know what a chimichanga is. It's basically a fried burrito.
Yeah.
It's really what it is. You can get them with beans, beef, chicken, But that's pretty much what it is. It's a deep fried burrito.
Steak.
And I know, steak is good. But I know poutine. I know poutine. I've been to Canada. I've had it without the cheese curds.
Oh, they're so good.
No, it's not.
Yes, they are.
North Bay, Ontario. I had some up there at a little restaurant. Oh my god, the little mom and pop one. I'm like, you know what? I'm in Canada. I'm trying poutine. So good. But then again, I'm the human garbage disposal, so it doesn't matter. You throw all that together with that gravy, and it can't be chicken. It's got to be like the beef gravy. I like the beef gravy on it, and it's
Yeah, I can't do the cheese curds. That's a texture thing.
Sound like the better half. Her food is all about texture. If it's not the right texture, yeah. And me, as older that I get, the more stuff I seem to try. And I'm like, we had some kind of spicy Japanese noodles for lunch out of a bag from PF Chang, Dan noodles. And I was like, oh, these are good. Then 10 years, 20 years ago, I'd have never tried that. I was meat and potatoes and pasta. Boom, done. Now, anything that some of the best Mexican food I ever had was when I was traveling in Minnesota. I had flautas. They told me, try it. You'll like it.
Flautas?
Yeah, whatever. That stuff. My friend at the plant, she told me, Vinny, go get it, and you won't be disappointed. Well, they gave me 4 of them and about a pound of rice, and I sat there and I hadn't eaten all day, and they give you this queso that's homemade out of white cheddar or something. It's goat's milk. They make it with goat's milk cheese.
So really thick then.
That plate hasn't been cleaned since the day it came out of the plant. That it was phenomenal. For a picky eater that I used to be, I sure don't look like it now.
And yes, Bobby, technically that would be fries with gravy. I got it the way it's supposed to come. I just didn't eat the cheese curds. But I'm going to pose the other question then. Outside of the Canadians that are in the room, have you had a beaver tail? Vinny, Dave, you've been to Canada. I was told 2 things. 3 things. Canadian beer, check. Poutine, check. I did try it the real way, and I'm like, yeah, I can't do this. And third was a beaver tail.
Can't say that I've indulged.
I was going to say, food or otherwise?
It is food. It is a pastry.
Okay, I was thinking actual beaver because I had more of a chance to eat beaver or squirrel or rabbit than I had of a pastry called a beaver tail.
It's called a beaver tail because of the way that it looks. But it's a pastry with cinnamon and sugar. Paul, you haven't had a freaking Paul, you live in Canada. How in the world could you not have had a beaver tail?
That almost sounds like cinnamon and sugar. That's what, like a cardamom bread or something on that line.
It's good. I'm just gonna if you get it nice, hot, and warm, it is freaking awesome. But like I said, 3 things I had to do when I went to Canada, and I got all 3 of them checked off the list. Well, we all like to eat wet beaver, but you know. Keep it clean. Keep it clean. See, Carlos has never eaten poutine. It's one of those in which everybody's preference. Personal preference, I guess. Oh, okay. Well, Paul's actually eaten real beaver tail. So that's a little interesting. To me, that would seem a little tough. And it could be, Paul. It could be an Ontario thing because that's where I was.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's what I thought. Skin a beaver and then indulge.
But the question is, could you skin a beaver tail?
There's gonna be somebody in the Great White North that does that for a living.
Potentially. Well, Paul, if you ever travel to Ontario, at least give it a shot. Let me know what you think. It's nothing special. I mean, it really isn't. It's just a pastry with cinnamon and sugar. It just, when they're hot, it's freaking good.
I imagine if you put some butter on there too when it's hot, it's got to be even better.
Hell, they could. I didn't see them make it. We were at, I can't even remember where the hell we were. Something that's somewhat, I don't want to call it famous there, but something that they're known for. It's like a bunch of shops and eateries and stuff along those lines or whatever. But they asked if I wanted to try it, and I was like, oh, yep, it's on my list. So they went and grabbed one, and we ended up sharing it. So, but it's very easy to tell that there's cinnamon and sugar on it. But if they drizzle butter and everything else, I wouldn't have known, because by the time I got it, it was already like soaked into it. But it's good.
Yeah, when it comes to, I'm not a big pastry person. I don't mind like a jelly or some kind of fruit filled Danish, or once in a while like the Bavarian cream long johns with the chocolate icing or whatever on top, or frosting. But that's, and again, you look at me and think, Christ, that's all you eat is you're at a bakery, and whatever falls off the table, that's literally going in your mouth. No, it's that stuff. I just don't get excited for. Donuts. Maybe once every couple weeks I'll have one. Glazed donuts, if they're fresh out of an oven, then we're in trouble. Because there's a restaurant here in Ely that used to be famous for those, at least up here, for teens, and you'd go in there and it'd either be the cinnamon roll or it'd be the glazed donuts. And I can still remember as a kid that taste of how good they were when you ate them. You bit into them soft. It wasn't the hot. Even at the end of the day, it was still soft. And,
Do you guys not have Krispy Kreme up there?
if we do, it's like in the cities.
I was just curious.
Duluth has a Dunkin' Donuts, but that's about like the extent of chain donut pastry type stores up this way.
Krispy Kreme is known for always being hot.
Yeah, when
And they're do what?
the sign, when the sign's on, you used to be able to go get a free hot donut.
But Krispy Kreme they're good. They kind of melt in your mouth type situation when they're hot. So it's we don't have one like around here. I mean, we have some mom and pop donut shops here, but I will never turn down a Krispy Kreme ever.
Do they have them in your grocery store, Steve?
A couple of them here.
Yeah, our Kroger's have almost any kind of donut you get at Krispy Kreme, you can get at Kroger. So, but we have a Dunkin' Donuts. We have Tim Hortons on every corner, except you can't get the cards there, which is disappointing.
That's only a Canadian thing, I guess.
Correct. And we have a lot of mom and pops that blow them out of the water that are really good, but they just opened a brand new Dunkin' Donuts on the way to where C plays soccer. We passed it on the way actually to the card show on Sunday. So, brand new building. Lot had a drive-through. Get your donuts on the go.
I've never been a fan of Dunkin' Donuts. I don't know why.
My
Not
aunt
sure.
and uncle from New Jersey were big on them, every time they came to visit my grandma and my grandpa, they would bring a dozen of Dunkin' Donuts. And then I'd always have whatever was left over, which usually was some donut that nobody else wanted.
But you ate it anyways.
Yeah, because I was told to. Hey, there's a donut. Eat that. I didn't tell my grandfather no too often.
I can relate to that. Few people in this world that you don't ever say no to.
Yeah, he was one of them.
Makes sense.
The dad, the better half, my brother. C, my daughters.
The dogs.
The dogs, yeah. Tell my mom though, more than anybody. I don't know why. I'm not doing that.
You can technically add me to that list right now. You haven't told me no yet, so
Yeah, I try to be cordial as possible, but I don't usually tell people no. I'm getting better at it, but
so Benny, I need $5,000. Can you hook me up?
talk to the better half. She's the Bank of America. Apparently,
Just say no, damn it.
if you were to
Okay.
think, we'd figure it out.
All right, I need $100,000.
That I cannot do, even on the day of my daughter's wedding.
I knew I'd get at least a partial response of the negative no aspect. So I accomplished what I was going for. So, Vinny, since you've asked, what's in the damn cup?
Mine?
Yes, no, the walls behind you.
You got anything? No. My cup is Mountain Dew tonight. It's a staple. Usually Mountain Dew, sometimes Pepsi.
Sweet tea.
Ooh. The other two daughters are sweet tea connoisseurs. They love it.
You missed the topic, Joey. We've already passed that. You can chime in, though. Cards that haunt you. In other words, situations in which something failed, whether it be internet connection, eBay, in which you were trying to buy something and you missed it for what you probably would have won it for based on your bid.
Or your brain, where you just forgot.
Oh, that's only Dave.
Something came up in life.
Or you're watching the Insert Revolution podcast and completely lose track of time.
Yeah.
Do not put that blame on us.
I never regretted one that I lost when I was watching or participating. It is what it is.
I almost responded to Dan earlier. Oops. Sorry. Anyways, nobody knows who that is other than the crew. So my apologies for using said name. But anyways, I almost responded to him during in the IRP chat. Was like, because he had mentioned, as long as I have internet access from 7 to 10 or a little after, I'm good for the night. I'm like, oh, must be a good movie coming on, because I don't know why you'd waste your time with this garbage. It's garbage, folks. It's garbage. This is not must-see TV. Okay, maybe for some people it is. We enjoy it. We have fun.
Bobby, I already have a nose of a Roman god, so I don't know how much bigger it can get. Like in Roxanne, I could smell the coffee in Brazil.
I watched that the other night.
Steve Martin at his best.
Yes. And Joey, I guess it could count. especially if it's one that you haven't seen in a long time and probably won't see again for a while. Because as Dave alluded in his early soapbox moment, which Dave never does. That's never a thing. He doesn't go on diatribes or anything along those lines, and neither does somebody else on this show. I wonder who that could be. It's not a guy who wears a Las Vegas hat, I don't think, but it could go a multitude of ways in those situations to where certain situations can always pop up in your head as it relates to a situation or a specific card that haunts you, things of which we may not have touched on for that matter. But that would suck if you made a deal and you paid for it and then refunded for no apparent reason other than the fact that probably he got a higher offer, would be my guess, which I think is the worst form of human being ever.
Mm-hmm.
Or the one person who reached out on what was it, Twitter, asking hey, I bought this Luis Robert card and now he's hurt, do I return it? No. And that's, I hate to say this, that's one of the downsides to eBay these days as of late. I get that you need to protect the seller in a lot of situations, and I get it. But at the same time, there needs to be some protection for the buyer. And for a seller to renege on something, so to speak, for no reason, or you're not given an explanation other than the fact that probably they got a higher offer, much higher than what you agreed upon. That should be like a strike. But on the flip side, there's so many ways to work around the eBay systems and rules and regulations. It would be hard to track some of that. I've never backed out on a deal ever. I've sold cards for less than what they normally would sell for. And that's the risk that you take. But I've never once backed out on a deal. I've never purchased anything and reneged on a deal. It's all about, as an individual, the only thing that you have is your word.
Yeah.
And when you renege and you back out of things like that, then to me, you drop way down on the totem pole.
That reminds me of one. So I bought two Marc-Andre Fleury PMGs, a red and a blue. And
I remember this one.
And they said they put it in the mail.
Mm-hmm.
30 days later, I said, I am a good seller here in Canada. I am a great seller. I put it in the mail. Can't control the mail. I understand. It's during these times of uncertainty with the mailing system. I got you. I'll give it another 30 days. 60 days in. Same exact message. It was nearing 90. I put in a thing into eBay. I never got a word back. Never got the cards. And I bought them at a steal. I bought them for both of them were $50 for two of them. So I paid 25. I think I spent 35 on one and like 15 on the other. And I know what happened. 90% of the chance they realized that those are going through the roof. They looked at comps and they said, no. And then I messaged him after the fact and say, hey, are you going to resolve this? I can't control the mail. I'm a good seller. I'm like, well, give me like half of it back. Meet me somewhere in the middle. Nope. I've had one other incident on eBay in all my dealings, and the stuff got to me. There was a slit in the package, and the cards had fallen out. It looks, and it was a part of the. How when it goes through customs, they put that bag around it. That bag was around half of it. So they cut it open during customs, didn't put the bag on it all the way and seal it. It got tossed around during the mail because that they never sealed the actual hole they cut into it. The cards fell out. That dude gave me 50% back. And I even sent him pictures. He goes, "That's never happened to me." I said, "Dude, I don't mean to be a jerk." I said, "But I don't know if you can get your money back from, the postal service in Canada or not." But lucky for me, it was a double. It was a double, so I wasn't brokenhearted. But those PMG flurries would have been nice.
Mm-hmm.
Well, in the post office, I don't know if it's the same in Canada as it is here in the States for the most part. If you don't insure it, you're pretty much screwed.
Yep.
It doesn't matter if there's tracking. It doesn't matter. If you don't insure it, you're shit out of luck. I had a situation where I shipped something, tracking, it was parcel post. And it was going to a YouTuber at the time. And tracking just went into oblivion. It's like it scanned out of here and there was not a trace of it forever. And I went and filled out all the paperwork to file a claim and everything else. And they came back and was like, due to not being insured, so sorry. I'm like, you MFers. That's why and it was, normally I don't ship bigger stuff. I'll use UPS or FedEx because at a minimum you get using their service unless they've changed it. You ship something, it has a tracking, it's $100 worth of insurance automatically included. So at least it covers potential cost if they in fact lose it. Now, if it's more than that, you of course insure it for more, but it's crazy. Can you elaborate, Joey? And I have a feeling Carlos might pipe in and disagree.
Yeah, maybe.
Just because he's had some interesting experiences.
Not allegedly.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm still waiting on the trade too, so
Is this the second part of the trade or the first one?
the first one, he had messaged I think a few days ago and said, "What can we do for the rest?" And I said, "I'm still just looking for Brodeur stuff." And I know he's not probably going to trade that StarQuest Gold because now he picked up the Hoshik, and I think he's down to the Sundin, Forsberg, and one other player for the set. So
StarQuest Gold? Wow.
So I'm just like, fiddlesticks. That takes that off because I said in the message, I'm like, I don't want to sound like a pompous douche, but money really doesn't do me any good. I mean, there's the big pieces out there aren't being listed, so it's not like, oh my god, I got to load up or something. It's I need to trade.
Right.
So he's like, well, I'll be on the lookout for that stuff. I'm like, well, this other stuff's not going anywhere, so.
But the deal for the first trade though was complete though, right?
Mm-hmm. I'm just waiting for the stuff to get here. The card.
Have you sent your stuff yet? Has he gotten your stuff yet? Okay.
So.
Speaking of cards, have you been to the post office to ship a certain thing to Canada yet?
I've got.
Question is, did you find the card that you were looking for?
So I got some bubble wrap for the card, and I got some bubble wrap down there for the package, and that will be going out tomorrow. Not allegedly.
So, Paul, be on the lookout.
Finally.
He wasn't in any hurry. It's not like, and that wasn't the reason why he reached out to me either.
I won some sort of giveaway and bullshit, and
Hey, it would. I blame it on me. I don't ship to Canada because I always screw up. I'm afraid I'll screw up, and that's not something that I want to do. Because I sure the hell don't want to add expense to somebody either in shipping something for whatever reason. Postage due, added duties and tax. You know, I don't. I would hate to do that to somebody. So I'd prefer to use somebody who's used to shipping to Canada. Yep. And of course, you have the few Madonna cards that need to go to Carlos, which Carlos probably already has. But that's also should be on your to-do list.
Mm-hmm.
Just like I'm expecting a package from the Amish that's obviously coming via horse and buggy. I have everything on my listings for eBay. I don't ship international anyways. I was referring just to in general, like shipping stuff even to friends. I've never done enough international shipping to where I understand the ins and outs. And like I said, I'd rather leverage somebody else to do it for me. So all my eBay listings, there is no international shipping. It's to the US only. Sweet. Congratulations, Carlos. That's freaking awesome. With what I got from Dave, and if I can get off my duff and actually update my checklists, which I said I needed to do and still need to do, I could be a lot closer to the 2,200 mark than what I think, or at least what I show right now, because I'm 42, 30, 33, shy of 22. And that's without updating my checklists and double checking my counts. So I could be a lot closer myself. Then again, my stuff is slowed down big time, which is okay.
I can't even think where my overall count is because I gave up on that and just created this book of what I want and I know I need. And everything else, the count has gone by the wayside because between trading card database and the good old trusty Beckett, the cardboard connection, all that, I went through it thoroughly and matched it to the cards I had by hand and said, this is what I don't have that I want. Are there 1-on-1s? No. Are there 1s-5? Yes. Are there any patches or memorabilia or autos? No. So this book basically has everything less that I want to pick up. And I think, to me, that's a solid list by company and by, like, Upper Deck is a brutal one because before you know it, you have 15 different pages of Upper Deck because you have SP, SPX, SP Game Used, SP Authentic. So, and then Pacific, it's quite a list of those as well. But those are dwindling.
Well, and that's for you. That's the focal point, though, too, because that's been a lot of what you've been looking for is those cards that fit those requirements on your list. And to a degree, I do the same thing. But I still leverage my existing checklist that I have. So I've been able to still keep track of the counts, kind of like how Carlos has his. At some point, I would highly recommend you do it because I'd be interested to hear. I mean, all of us would be interested to hear what the unique counts are. Dave needs to get off his butt and do the same thing with Josh Johnson, which, that'll take. We may be having this conversation during the IRP 2 years from now when we're at episode, 162. And it will still be the same thing.
More than likely, yes, because that's one where I want to get the boxes. I want to probably try to get them out of the 4 rows into the 2 rows. And then, like I said before, one of my, I don't even know if it was JT back in November or on here at some point in time, or on our conversation either in the text or like after the show or after like when Carlos goes, I want to get one of each copy and then put them in their separate boxes so I know here we are, we've got one of each. Here we are, we've got 70 of each, 200 of each. Everything's over there. Now I've got my 2 or 3, 4, whatever graded 2-row boxes, and now I know I need that. Here, I need this. Instead of going through 8 copies of something to get to the next copy. I mean, it's just gonna, I won't say streamline anything, but it's gonna make things a lot easier for me to tag off. Okay, I need that and that instead of what the hell do I need? There's a graded copy in there. There's stuff and screw downs over here, and there's like snap cases in front of it, in front of like the soft sleeve, because I've got it sort of staggered like that, depending on what cases they're in too. So let's make everything easier.
Are you sure it's 7, Carlos, and not 27? Then again, he does his warehouse numbering kind of like Pacific did though too. Somewhat a little random, but it is possible. That is a fair assessment. He just doesn't want to take the trip to the warehouse.
Ooh,
Decent.
But not the years I'm going after. But these
Is
were
that-
that's 13, 14.
Okay. That's 13, 14 Prism.
Mm-hmm. The orange and that is probably shit, but to 50. So I think those are like between 10 and 15 for both in the same seller, and
That's not bad.
I looked and I like the sets. I like, again, any of that stuff to 100 or less, even 150. It behooves one to get it now, especially from the last 10 years, before we are 10 years down the road and we sort of have that late 90s, early 2000s where the 100s are tough cards to come across now. I mean, if you have like a Connor McDavid rookie class, a lot of that's going to get busted. If you have like 10, 11, 11, 12, a lot of it is not going to get busted. You don't have like the huge marquee name that drove the masses to open. So if I I'll get it, but again, I don't want to sit there and dedicate tons of funds to that stuff when there's so much other stuff out there in the listing that I want to pick up.
Sorry, I'm going to be digging into my red beans and rice real quick. Like I said, nobody wants to see me eat.
our friends at Synergy numbered to 26, took a Pacific number, the blue, $8. That was a nice one that came in the other day.
Yeah, there's a lot of that stuff that still just doesn't go for much.
The funny thing is the buy it nows will go heavy, and then the auctions they occur at weird times of the day, and those are the ones you have to really keep an eye on, because sometimes they don't go for a lot. You know, if you have it's a Thursday at 2:16 p.m. and that's when it's going off, you're like, okay, 2:16 p.m. on a Thursday. I hope I remember. And it's sometimes it's great when you do, and other times you're like, there was something I should have done. But the counter offer, the offer, when stuff comes up now, I'm seeing a opening bid at $99 or best offer, or starting bid at $45 or best offer. If it's rare and I know it's rare and I don't see many, I'm making the offer now. I think that's something that I really didn't do, and now I'm getting to counter offers. So I've turned that page where I get an offer and I say, yeah, not so fast. Let's try a little bit lower. And the first one I ever tried, I did a counter offer today. And son of a gun, it was in my cart. I said, well then, it was a Festivus miracle. I worth a try. What's the worst that can happen?
No.
Yeah.
I know Dave does a lot of that. He'll get those offers sometimes, and then he'll throw out a counter offer. It's close to what he wants to pay, but let's test the waters. And most of the stuff I get offers like that, the bulk offers that sellers do, it's on stuff I just have on the watch list just to see. Because I haven't bought an auto in 2 years, if not more. But it doesn't mean that I still don't watch them. Because I'm interested to see where the market is for some of those that I never bothered to pick up for whatever reason. And those are the ones that I usually see the offers on.
The one that Dave that blew my mind was the one I sent you for JJ. And it was, I know it was one you wanted. And I forget if it was bids or buy it now. And I was like, oh, he's just going to buy it now. There's no doubt in my mind. He's going to buy it now. What's he do? He puts in an offer. And I was so scared. And then he texts me and he's like, I lost it. And then somehow he won it. I think that's it. Yep.
Because it was 100 of best offer, and that was even Carlos had said that's pretty ballsy to get 20% off. And I'm like, I remember aisle 8. I'm looking, it's like, sorry, you lost. I'm like, what?
Yeah, I remember that one because I think I was on that group chat too on that one.
It was, and then like refreshed it. It's like, congrats, you won. I'm like, I'm just gonna lay down for a while. Right in the middle of the store. Oh my God. You can't do that to me. No.
Because I knew that was a big one for you. When I saw that night, I think the better half, I let out a, oh my God. And the better half's like, what? I'm like, I found a card for Dave. She goes, really? Really? And I'm like, really? I found a card that Dave needs. It's a real big one. But she doesn't feel the same. Yeah. When one of the beasts pop up on the bay, as they say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's relative, Joey. It's all relative in the scheme of things.
Not cheap. It's not like if somebody had like a star in the Favre, I think the passing the torch. Let's say they had that up for $1,000 or whatever, and you offered like 150. Okay, that's being cheap. You offer like 7. That's not being cheap. So I mean, $20 off a card like that, I'm like, I know where I was at with the other one that went for more than I wanted to spend, and then there's another one that I got that was cheaper than I was willing to go by far, because I thought, okay, I got to bid X amount because the last one was up near that stratosphere. Didn't have to. So again, it just depends whose eyes are on the card, who cares about the card. Again, the one that went for like 140 was because there was a Blue Jay, I'm surmising. He doesn't have much of that stuff, the Blue Jays, because he sort of flamed out with them quick. Marlins stuff he's got a bunch of, but during his time with the Marlins, they were pretty much trash. That was about their 4th rebuild. So you want to get the card, but you always want to leave yourself a little wiggle room. If you would have said no 90, fine with it. Said no 95, fine with it. If you just came back and said 100 or nothing, fine with it. But just waiting like the 12, 13 hours, 14 hours, and then like me messaging him saying, hey, whatever you decide on the card, please give me a chance to at least, if you counter me, give me a chance to at least work with you first before someone else, because I will guarantee you this, and the card will not be more loved by anyone than I. So, and he was cool with that. He's like, yeah, I was thinking about the offer, and I said, you know what? You messaged me, and you seem like you collected, and I'm like, I told my YouTube, I said, go over there to the YouTube, type in whatever you want, and go look back. I mean, it's not just like last week. And again, this is Josh Johnson, so it's not like, oh man, I really love Patrick Mahomes. He's my favorite player. It's like, no. You can try to pull the wool over my eyes, but it only goes so far. So, yeah, that's it. You have to be selective with, and I won't say chintziness, but your cheapness, or you're willing to haggle. If what like a big Lemieux comes up again, I know Vinny's probably gonna be like, okay, I really can't beat around the bush on this. I need to punch through the door, and I get it. So other cards say, well, there's room, I think, A, because of the market, or B, because of the card. You're like, but never think that's always the case. I mean, even if it's something you're like, that you're like at 75 to 80%, like, yeah, I'd buy it now, but I want it cheaper. Guess what? Another collector could be waiting 3, 4, 5, 10 years. That's my card. That's the one I want. Now, give me. I don't care. Just because you think of it as a Joe or Jill to the side, they'll just be like, they'll elbow you in the throat to get that card. And they don't care because that's their card.
It reminds me of the ice from the other night we talked about.
Mm-hmm.
So, I'm trying to.
Oh, I love those. All right.
I've been. This is top 25 on my 90s stuff. He put this up for $20 or best offer.
Mm-hmm.
And I said $40, and he took it within like an hour. It was in my cart. I'm like, bam, that's solid. I was willing to pay that. I've seen him go, like you said. I think the last one went for 15 or roughly above that. The buy it nows for him are closer to the $100 range.
Mm-hmm.
But then he posted the gold acetate from the same year, 96, 97, I said, ooh, he has the offer for that one. Starting bid was 25. So I did the math. I didn't know the math at the time. So I did 40. Same as the foundations. Denied. Went back downstairs, grabbed my Beckett, looked at it. I'm like, ooh, one in I think it was 126 maybe. So I threw it in my spreadsheet of calculations, and it said you should be bidding this. So I offered that. Denied. I have a bid higher. I went to sleep. Should have countered right then and there. $30 higher. The heck with it. I've never seen this card pop. Went to bed. Woke up the next day. Somebody took it down. And I was willing to go higher because I know after doing the math and the statistics of it, you're not going to get that. I put it in the spreadsheet. I got to look what it is. It's like crazy math. Here it is. So ice acetate, a box originally was $95.76. 3 cards per pack, 24 packs per box. 72 cards per box. Average price $3.99. Price per card $1.33. The pack odds 1 per 325. Cards in set 144. You would have had to spend $1,296.75 to pull one. Now with those boxes, they're about $290. It goes up to $3,926. There's 2 archers. There he is.
I know, that was the weirdest freaking thing ever.
It was like they separated, then they go, oh crap, there's 2 of us, and back together.
Well, I just
Michael
had like
Keaton.
the spinning thing in
I had 2 Dave Archers for a minute. That was scary.
the feed on YouTube kind of jacked up too. I had to refresh YouTube.
Yeah.
I was noticing what they were saying in the chat, and I'm like, really? And then of course I moved over to YouTube, and I'm like, an error has occurred. Blah. I'm like, oh crap! I guess I need to refresh.
Yeah, there's the internet. It went from nothing to like the exclamation point with the bars. So I'm like, oh, good.
So this is for Joey, since he alluded to this one.
Wow.
So yep, still my all-time favorite, passing the torch. But I have every one from every year except for the one I think from 20. When was Lindsay? When was his rookie year?
2019?
16.
No.
16 or 17, I think. But that's the only one I don't have. But they limited those to 10, I think.
Yeah, that'd be what? Oh, 17 or 18, I bet.
Yep.
Yeah,
And the last one that was up sold for well over $200, and I'm like, no, that's not a $200 card. Back when Lindsay was on fire and everything else, then yes, I could have understood it. But it even didn't sell for that at that point in time.
No.
So, yeah.
Yeah, that
But Joey, since you alluded to that one, I wanted to pull it out real quick.
Yeah, quick go to the studio too. It said, "Oops, something went wrong." I'm like, "What? What went wrong?" We're 40 shows in. What all of a sudden went wrong? That hasn't that hasn't happened already.
Amish internet.
And it's not even like the time of like the 11 p.m. Central time when it usually really starts to sputter severely. Because I noticed that early on. I'm like, fuck. 20, 30 minutes in, and we're already like the sort of like the like, oh, fiddlesticks. Well, probably tonight I'll have to turn it off, and then tomorrow turn it on just to sort of reset things or recalibrate things. Yeah.
2018, Philip Lindsay.
All right. As I say, 16 and 17, that seemed early because, like, the undrafted guys usually get, if they do, a couple 2-3 year deals. And I know he's gone now.
That's still one that I want. I've seen 4 or 5 of the 10. And that's probably one of the few autograph cards that is high on my radar. Just because the iconicness and the nomenclature of passing the torch, it's a must-have. Hey, I can't end the show without using it. Dang it. Just saying.
And again.
Got to get it in those catchphrases. Got to try and find ways to make that money.
Yeah, they can trademark royalties.
Well, yeah, because I hadn't seen no payments from any of y'all.
No.
Benny,
Ain't getting none.
Dave.
It's in the mail.
Yeah, I've heard that before too.
You're gonna keep
I think the
hearing
better
it.
half's holding it for the better half's holding it for you.
Yeah.
Can we meet in the middle? Let's take a road trip. Let's meet in the middle.
What would that be, like Bowling Green, Kentucky or something?
I don't know. I've never bothered to look.
That sounds about right for all of us.
Well, for the U.S. folks.
Well, if all the Canadians came down the middle, it would obviously be Lake Superior. That goes without saying.
Absolutely.
That's a little far of a drive. I'd have to be there in spirit.
Oh, you'd be there.
And that would be?
The last year of Brodeur.
Wow. And there's some big ones in there too, we know of.
A couple.
So you sorting by year, Dave, now?
Not. I've got them in a box. That's step one. Now, allegedly, at some point, I'll probably get them in year-wise, but yeah, it's just right now. I've got like the Be a Player Ultimate and all that stuff on that far right, and then I think the right-hand side is where the graded was most of the big ones. I'm sure there's more on the other side, but like on that left side where you see the MNT one, that's where the big ones are, and over there. But that's how I try to keep a little bit of sorting. But
Hey, Dave, we may want to actually wrap this one up here before too long because I keep checking YouTube and the feed keeps jacking up for whatever reason. Nothing on the StreamYard side, but
over there,
the live feed, I had to refresh it again. So I don't know if YouTube is having issues of playing it back or whatnot. But it's going to be one of those in which it's going to defeat the purpose to a certain degree because we won't have the interaction of the crew.
yeah.
I'm trying to watch it a little bit more frequently.
Yeah, I got it. I just put it on the second screen to see what it was doing.
Yeah, I mean, it keeps coming back when I refresh, but it's one of those in which if it's going to start doing stuff, there's going to be a lag. See, I've got the circle going on YouTube.
Yeah,
right
I
now.
just got the circle too.
So I think it's going to crash again. So you'll get your wish. It'll be a little bit shorter of a show than normal, but at the same time, I don't want to. It kind of sucks that we can't wrap it up like we normally would about the time. We're coming up on 2 hours 40 minutes, so it's not like we're too far off.
Yeah.
But it just sucks when most everybody can't watch it and comment and add to the conversation. So we may want to just wrap it up for this one.
So we thank you for sticking around. If you're stuck around this far with all the delightful technical issues, thank Vinny for opening up a special package.
Thank you for having me.
Always
always glad to have you, Vinny. And it got you away from work, so
yeah.
that was the positive.
Yeah, I would have still been there if I was not ordered.
Which is always much needed. So, he's Steve. He's Vinny. I'm Dave. This has been the Insert Revolution podcast. Remember, Patreon, Discord, PayPal, Venmo, Cash App, OnlyFans, Facebook fan page, MySpace fan page, AOL Instant Messenger, Yahoo Instant Messenger,
Cards.
Snapchat, TikTok, Twitter, Instagram. You'll not find us on any of those things. So send us money and well-concealed cash in envelopes to...
Not my address.
I should have done the catchphrase first, but then done that, and then I could have said two, and then just ended it. But maybe next time. Remember, collecting cards, it's a fun hobby. The friendships you forge along the way, it's even better. Good night, everyone.
Good night, everybody.
Night, everybody.